So we will do an introduction. I'll go through the steps that you need to get started with memoQ. What you see right now is the dashboard, and this will then later on show the list of the projects that you have created for translation. If you want to do a translation, you have to create a project, and inside of the project, you will have your documents, the translation memories, the term bases, and all the other settings that you need. If you get started with memoQ, I would recommend to start with this, create a new project without a template. A template can later on be used to automate certain things, but at the beginning, you might want to go through the steps manually. So let's get started and create a project. It's a small wizard that guides you through step by step. First of all, our project needs a name. You can call it by client, by subject matter, by whatever you like. You can have project numbers if you like, and you need to set your source language and your target language. I've already selected in the options some languages that I always want to see at the top of my list, so I can select them more easily and don't have to scroll through the whole list. And then we have 4 fields called project, client, domain, and subject. You don't have to fill something out here, but it can help you later on to categorize your translations, because whatever you put in here will be saved with each and every sentence that you save to the translation memory in this project. So let me put in a project number and a subject. Now that's actually the basics that you need to set up a project. You could click on Finish now and add the documents and the translation memories and so on later. But you can also go through the wizard to the next step. Here we have the import of the documents that we want to translate. You can see there's an import and an import with options. The import is the default import. So that's when memoQ decides what is translatable in a file, usually everything that's visible. The import with options would give you a choice of what you actually need to translate. For example, in Word files, you also might want to translate comments, or in PowerPoint files, hidden slides, things like that. So every file format has its own options that you might want to choose when you import a document. Let's do a regular import first. You can import as many documents as you like at the same time. They also can have different file formats. That's no problem. I'm just going to do one and add another one later to the project. Now, during the import, the document gets segmented into the sentences you need to translate, and a preview is created if the file format allows a preview in memoQ. That's usually Office file formats, HTML, and so on. You can see an import path. That's the path where the document comes from. And memoQ will also suggest an export path. So same folder, same file name, underscore, and the language ID of the target language. This is just a suggestion. You don't have to use it that way, but that's what memoQ would save if you don't specify anything else later on. Then we go to the next step. That's where we add the translation memories. So if there already are translation memories and they have the languages you selected for the project, they will come up in this list here. You can see there is some in English US, German, there is one in English UK and German, so the other language direction. And you can see they're written in a different way. So the ones that have the general script or the regular script, these are the translation memories that have the same language direction as your project. In my case, English to German. The ones that are written in italics are opposite language direction, or maybe also different language variants, as you can see here. Those you can also attach. The only difference is you need a translation memory with the same language direction as your project to write into. The other ones are just used for getting suggestions, getting matches. Now, if none of the translation memories is the one you want to use, or you don't have a translation memory yet, you can create a new one. And let's say this is for my client A that I'm translating for right now. The languages have been set automatically. The default settings you can usually leave as they are. Adding some context when you save sentences to the translation memory, allowing the reverse lookup, so using the translation memory in both language directions, and storing the document name together with the segments that you are saving to your translation memory. Once the translation memory has been selected, you can see that it says here it's a working and master translation memory. That means you can make a difference between a working translation memory, that's the one you use while you work, and a master translation memory that gets updated at the end of the project separately with a separate option. So you could differentiate between the things that are finished that go into the master and the things that are just like in the working projects. But of course, you can also use just one translation memory for this client and save everything into this one translation memory and use that one only. It's up to you. Then let's go next. That's the list of the term bases. If we already have a term base, we could select it. If we don't have one, we can create a new one. So again, this is one for my client A. You can see that I have a choice of many languages. So there's a difference between the translation memory that only ever has one source language, one target language, and the term base that can have many languages. So you could have 5, 4, 6, 20 different languages in a term base and use one term base in all the different language combinations. The languages from the project have already been selected, so I don't need to do anything here. And that's it. That's the setup of my project. Once I click Finish, memoQ opens the project for me directly. Let's close the project to see where it went. So here you can see that's my project I just created in the dashboard. And you can see it has a size of 65 words in this case. There's a progress bar that will go up while you work on it. There's the subject that I've put in. There's the dates and so on. You can do a double click to open the project, or you can use this small pen icon to open the project up. Now, opening the project up brings you to the so-called project home, which is the area where you have all the different areas of your project where you can do settings. So for example, right now we're in the translations area that shows the documents that we need to translate. There's also a translation memories area. So if I now decide, well, actually, I would need that general TM as well, I can still add it to my project. Or of course, I can take it off. Same for the term bases. If I find that this is not the right term base, or I need a second one, or I have something to import, then I can do that here. Now let's go on to the translations area. It shows the document name. It shows the status. So the translation is in progress. I'm in the translation project. I have the number of words. And here again, the progress bar for this document that will then go up while I translate. To open up the document, I can use a double click, or there's also a translate button up here in the ribbon. Now we come to the memoQ editor. We have a column-based layout. So on the left-hand side, we have the sentences, the segments that we need to translate. On the right-hand side, that's the area where we type our translation. Below that is a preview area that shows the text or the layout of the actual document. As I said, some file formats have a preview like Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, or HTML. Other files do not have a preview like FrameMaker files, so it always depends on the file format. On the right-hand side, we have the translation results area where we'll see how the matches, the suggestions from the translation memories will come up. To translate, we just type our translation. And as you can see, memoQ uses a lot of icons and colors. The gray color says these segments have not been touched yet. The orangey color says I'm in editing mode. I've changed something in the segment. And if I want now to confirm this, there's the confirm button. You can also use the Control and Enter to confirm, to save this sentence to the document and also to the translation memory. So now we come to a point where we see the color has changed to green. There's also a check mark, meaning the sentence has been saved to the translation memory. And also on the right-hand side, I can now also see that there is some match from the translation memory. You can see 101. And yes, I know there's nothing like 101%, but the thing is, the sentence that I'm at right now, which is in the translation memory right now, comes up in the same context in the document as it has been saved to the translation memory. So that's why I have 101%, which is better than 100%. It's not just the same sentence, it's the same sentence in the same context. If I confirm, I should jump to the next sentence, and memoQ should automatically, for the next sentence, search the translation memory, find if there's something similar. It will show me what is similar in the translation results list. So that's the similar sentence to the one I have to translate right now. There is another 3 windows that show these similarities. So that's the sentence from the document. Below that, the similar sentence from the translation memory, and the translation from the translation memory. So these last 2 windows show the same thing as the one up here. There's a 73%, which means the source sentences from the document and the TM are 73% the same. Now, this is a way how memoQ calculates it, might be different in other tools. And it also tells me what I need to do. So it tells me in the sentence in my document, there is a new word, short, which I need to add to my translation. And then I can confirm this sentence again. And you can see as soon as I do some editing, it goes to that orangey color and means I'm in editing mode. I have changed something. What you could also see is from the first sentence, when I confirmed that, I already got a suggestion for sentence number 4 because the sentences are exactly the same. That's the so-called auto-propagation. So whenever there is a repetition, memoQ will try to fill out the repeated sentences with the same translation that you put into the translation memory. Now that's a default setting. If you don't like that, or if your language requires that you have different translations, sometimes you can also switch it off. You will find it in the translation ribbon. Under the translation settings, there's the auto propagation, and you can either switch it off altogether, or you can decide whether you propagate only forward or forward and backward. So that means if I change something here, it's propagated to number 4, or if I change something here, it's propagated back to the repetition that comes before it. So it's up to you how you want to handle that. Now, let's confirm sentence number 2. And here we can see another suggestion comes up, 70%. In the comparison windows, I can see that the sentence from my document and the sentence from the translation memory are pretty much the same. There's just one point where there's a different word, so not a new additional word, but a different word. And now it's shown in red, and I can change whatever needs to be changed and go on confirming. This one already is okay. Confirm and go to the next. Here are 2 sentences where I would like to show you how memoQ tries to help you to fill out things in your translation. So let me translate the first one. If I confirm that, Control and Enter, memoQ will try to exchange whatever it can, in this case, the numbers, and will then show you the sentence how memoQ thinks that should be adjusted. Again, 75% match, because the sentences in the document and in the translation memory are different, not only in the number, but also in one of the words here, which I can change now, and again, confirm and enter. Now I come to a line where, yes, I could use this suggestion of the translation, but if I look more closely, I can see that sentence 7 and 8 actually belong together, or I would like to translate them together. In that case, I can do a join. There's a joining button. So I can join 2 sentences, and I can translate it as one. And what you can see is that when I joined the sentences, because of the line break that was in between, there is a small marker, a tag, which says this is the place of the line break. Now I can decide whether this line break really needs to be inside of my sentence. So later on in the export document, I have a line break at that point, or whether I don't need it inside of the sentence, then I can just move it to the end of the segment or to the beginning. Just be aware, don't forget this line break. So let me just delete this one here. And now try to confirm the sentence. And now I will get a message from the QA checker. And the QA checker checks the quality, well, what is different between source and target sentences. And it found that there is a tag missing. And it's an important tag. That's why it brings up this exclamation mark. The exclamation mark means that something that has to do with the structure of the file is missing, like tabs or line breaks. And it could happen that you are not able to export the file anymore because it doesn't have the same structure as the source file. So be careful. If you see this exclamation mark, then there's something you need to correct. In my case, I need to take the tag from the source sentence to the target. I can do that, of course, by copy and paste, but of course, there's also a button that I can use or a key, in this case, F9. So whatever you like to do with the mouse or with the F9 key, move the tag from the source to the target and confirm again. The next one is a sentence where we have some kind of formatting. RPR is always formatting tags. And in between there is this word highlight. So let me translate this sentence. So in order for the translation to be formatted in the same way as the source language, I would need to add these markers where the highlight begins and the highlight ends to my translation. Again, there are different ways of how I can do that. I can move them one by one. I can just copy this one, place my cursor to the other place and copy the next one. But it's also possible, let me just take them off. If you know where the tags need to go around, then just select what needs to be marked with the tags and copy the tags, and they will go around whatever you want to mark. Let me confirm that. And here you can now see in the preview how the document changes while you translate. And now you can see that this word will have a yellow highlight in the resulting file. Let's take this off. Here you can see the opposite to when I needed to join two segments. Sometimes you also need to split segments because there was no space between the dot and the next sentence. memoQ didn't recognize that it was the end of a sentence. So in this place, I can place the cursor and use the split. And then memoQ creates two different segments for me to translate. And Control and Enter. And Control and Enter. And now we have a sentence that does not have anything similar from the translation memory, so I do not see a match for the whole sentence, but what I see in the translation results list is the concordance search. So a search for parts of the sentence. memoQ tells me that a part of this sentence is already known in the translation memory, and if I do a double click on this yellow mark, I will get a list of all the sentences in my translation memory or other translation memories that have this part of the segment, and then I can decide whether I want to either maybe just insert the whole sentence, this one in this case, or just select something, and then insert the selected. The concordance search can be done in the source and in the target. To search in the target, you would need to switch on this checkbox. And then you just go on and translate the rest of the sentence and confirm. Confirming is important because that's the time when the sentences are being saved to the translation memory. Now, the next step would be that we create the target language file. So for that, we can go either to the Documents ribbon and use the export. And there are two different exports at this point in time that are useful. For example, export into the stored path, which means that's the path that memoQ suggested. So same folder, same file name, just an underscore and the language ID of your target language on the file name. Or if you want to select where you want to save the file, then you choose the export where you can choose the path. So if you click on that, memoQ asks you, where do you want to save it? Maybe I want to have a new folder. Maybe I want to have a new name. Just add my initials. So anything you like to do, you can just save it with the export choose path. And now you can see that memoQ will try automatically to open the file after you've exported it from memoQ in its original application. For you to do some checking, maybe print it out, whatever you need to do. If this is annoying to you, if you don't want memoQ to open the file right after you export, then let me show you in the options, these three small gear wheels up here. There is an area called miscellaneous, and there's a tab for importing and exporting. And here is the checkbox, automatically open the target document after exporting. If you don't like that, uncheck the box here. And as we are in the options already, I would also like to show you another part. You might remember that when I created my project, I had the whole list of languages to choose from for source and target language, but at the top of the lists, there was a selection of my special languages that I'm using. So you can do that by going to the options, miscellaneous and languages, and then just select the languages you would like to see. And in my case, that was Chinese, that was English, French, German, and Japanese. So it's up to you if you want to scroll through the languages or select the languages here from the list. Now let's close the document, go back to the translations area. You could also do the export of the document from here. So in the list of the documents, there's the export, again, into stored path or choose path. So it doesn't matter if you do it from the editor or from the list of documents. Now that we are in the list of documents, we might get new documents to translate, and we can import them into an existing project, reusing all the things that we've already done with our translation memories. It's quite simple to do. You can either go to the import button and use import, just as when we created the project, or you can also do that from within your Windows Explorer. If you have the files, you can just drag and drop it over into the list of files to translate, and then it will be imported just like that. First thing I would like to do is I would like to find out how much of this document already exists in my translation memory. Can I expect some matches? That's when I do the statistics. And just calculate against my translation memories that are in the project. And I will get a statistic that tells me there are no matches, so 6 segments that I need to translate from scratch. There are some sentences that are pretty similar to sentences between 95 and 99%. There's 100% match, so same sentence, but not in the same context as it was translated before. And 3 101% matches, meaning 3 segments that are exactly in the same context, so have the same sentence before and after as when they were translated in other documents. You can export this statistic if you like. There's an export button. Or if you didn't do that at this point in time, you can always go to the overview of your project, to the reports, and there in the analysis area, export the analysis. So any analysis you run will always be collected here, and you can export it from here. Let's go back to the translations and open up the second document, double click. So here you can see there's 101% match, 73% match, and so on. Now, of course, I can now take the matches into my document. For the first segment, memoQ never inserts a match, but as soon as you confirm something, it will insert the matches automatically. If you want to take over the translation from the translation results list, you can do a double click, or as you can see here, Control and 1, that would also add the translation from here to your translation list. So double click and then confirm and go on. But if it's a long file, you might want to do a pre-translation first. So having some kind of automation. This you will find in the preparation ribbon. There's the pre-translate option. And here you can select whether you want to insert only the 101% matches, the 100% matches, and the 101% matches. The good matches are the ones that start at 95%. You can select from which translation memory you would like to have the matches. And you can also tell memoQ to automatically join and split segments. So if it doesn't find a match for one sentence, then it's going to join the sentence with the next one and look it up in the translation memory again in this joined fashion. So this is something that you can do and automate things a little bit. Sentences that have been inserted by pre-translation will come up in this light blue. And let's go down to the last one here, where you can see two 99% matches. Well, let's see here. It's actually 99, and all the matches between 99 to 95 are actually the same text in the document and in the translation memory, but the changes are in formatting, in numbers, in punctuation, maybe in tags or in capitalization, so things that are not actual text. And what kind of changes you have, you will see down here with these small buttons. So right now, the button for formatting lights up in gray, and gray means memoQ was able to adjust it itself. This means my translation sentence now has the same formatting as the source sentence. Now, in the other one, it's also a 99% match, and here the formatting information comes up in yellow. That means memoQ recognized that between the sentence that I have to translate right now, there's this word new in underline, and the sentence I have in the translation memory, there's a difference in formatting. But it couldn't adjust it itself because it doesn't know which of the words in the translation is the right word to underline. Or maybe it doesn't need an underline, but another formatting. So in that sense, it just alerts the translator to do something, and I can then select the word I need to format. In the quick access toolbar, there are formatting buttons for bold, italics, underline, superscript, subscript. So you can choose the one that you want and then confirm the sentence into the translation memory. And next time a sentence like that with a formatting comes up, you will get 100% match. Other things you might see here are sentences that contain tags and things that you have to copy from source to target. There are different ways how you can do that. You can copy the whole segment. Here's the copy to target, copy the source segment, or Control-Shift-S. Or if it's just the tags you want to copy, of course, there's the tag button, but there's also a nice button, the Control key. If you press the Control key once, you will see that everything that you can take over from the source sentence to the target comes up in a list, and you would just have to select it with the keyboard, press Enter, and it goes into your translation. So this is for the whole translation part. Now, let's imagine you're doing reviewing as well, and you want to change things, but you want to use track changes. This is something you find in the review, where you can switch on track changes. Just click on it and then change something here. You will see the tracked changes. This would be one way of showing the changes that you're doing. Another way would be, and for example, if I now confirm this, Control Enter, you will see that only the changed sentence goes into the translation memory, so it will show the final version of the sentence. Or you could say, well, some of these, let's just confirm the first two sentences. So some of these sentences are confirmed with that single check mark. And now you can switch being a reviewer. So you could go to the confirm button and switch to being not a translator, but a reviewer one. And that means if you now confirm a sentence, it has this check mark and that small plus symbol. And you can also use the role of reviewer 2 and confirm, Control Enter, and that would place 2 check marks. So this is a way to distinguish between what phase this sentence was worked on. Just be aware that the role of translator and reviewer 1, they can overwrite each other, but everything that was confirmed with reviewer 2, you have to be in reviewer 2 role to be able to change something. Like if I change back to being a translator and now try to change something here, I'm trying to delete the dot. You might hear me clicking, but I cannot do anything because I don't have the Reviewer 2 role. So be careful with Reviewer 2. You have to be Reviewer 2 to change something that was confirmed as Reviewer 2. One more thing to show, if you want to save terminology, you would select the terminology you want to save to your term base, and then you can do the quick add term, which sends the term to the terminology database. Here you can see the word sentence and Satz has been saved. If you click on it in the results list, you will see the entry in the terminology database. You can also edit the entry from here. Say, okay, there's another word that could be used as translation. Add it with a plus to the list, but maybe in this case, I'll make it forbidden. And that then means that in the results list, allowed words come up in blue, and the black means this is a forbidden word. And every sentence I go to now that has one of the words from the term base, you will see this blue highlight or background to the words that have been recognized from the terminology database. So this is a little bit about using translation. Now a little bit more about how you can add additional information to the segments. There's this small speech bubble. And if you do a double click on it, you will see I'm now in a notes pane. So I can add a comment really. Add comment number 1, say OK. And the speech bubble turns to yellow, which means there's a comment inside. To see the comment, I can either move my mouse pointer over it. I get a pop-up that shows the comment. I can do a double click to see the comment, maybe to delete it again, to change something, to add a new comment. Or down here in the preview pane, if you move your mouse pointer over the upper right-hand corner of that pane, you can switch between the actual preview and the comments. And from here, again, you can see the comments, you can delete them, you can edit them. So this much about projects and translation. Now I would like to show you one other part, that's the LiveDocs. And that's the area where you can add alignments. So if there is a translation that has been done, you have the source file, you have the target file, but you don't have a translation memory of that yet, you can add it in the LiveDocs. First of all, we need a container where we can put in these files, and that's a so-called corpus. And we create a new one by clicking on New. So the training corpus, you can give it project number, names, client names, whatever you like. And here you can then add the so-called alignment files, the alignment pairs. Now we're adding a source document, the English one, and target document. It doesn't have to be the same file format. One could be a PDF, the other one could be a Word file. So you can try that out as well. And then they need to be connected. Usually when the file names are pretty much written in the same way, memoQ connects them automatically. If that doesn't happen, you can select them both and just link them manually so that they belong together. Now we click on OK, and memoQ will just take these documents apart into segments and try to find which segments belong together. Down here we see now the document pair. By double clicking, we can open that one up. And then we could go through and see, well, here memoQ has connected something that probably doesn't belong together. We can do a split, just like in the translation. Split the segments here as well. These markers for the line breaks, they usually tell you that memoQ has joined something together where you might want to take a look. And then we can see, well, this belongs together with that one. This one actually belongs to this one. So select the two lines so that they have the blue background. And you can do a right mouse click and say, in this case, as I'm connecting them across other text, I'm doing a cross-link. For sentences that are on the same level, I can do a right mouse click and say, I want to have a synchro link. So they're synchronized on both sides, on both lists. So this is how I can go through the alignment, but actually I don't have to. I could just use it just like that for translation. So let me show you. I'm going back to Project Home, to Translations, and I'm going to import a new document, which is pretty similar to what I have in my alignment. Just adding the file to the project, open it up. And now you will see on the translation results list, I already get matches, although my translation memory cannot contain any of these segments because I have not translated anything like that before. So let's take a look at this one. You can see sentence from the document, sentence from the alignment in this case. They are absolutely identical, but it says 85% match. That's because they're not joined manually and the alignment hasn't been finished yet. To do that, I can do a right click, show the document, say, well, this one, that belongs together, right mouse click and synchro link. That's basically like confirming the link. Let's go back to the document. You can see you can have them both open at the same time. Now I already get a 90% match. So it's better than the one before because I manually confirmed it. And if I really work through the whole alignment, confirm everything, and then check the box alignment finished, then from the alignment, I can also receive 100% and 101% matches. So as you can see, the alignment does not have to be worked through and sent to a TM before you can use it for translation. You can, of course. Let's go back to the alignment. If you do work your way through here or say, well, all this is fine, I can confirm all the links and then export to the translation memory that's attached to my project. And then go back to the document. And now I get the 101% match from my translation memory. You see it's all in red. There's also a small eye symbol, which when I move the mouse pointer over it, it opens up. If you click on it, memoQ will show you all the matches that it has. So you can see we have the same match from the translation memory marked in red and from the alignment marked in blue now. The closed eye always shows you that memoQ is hiding something that is already there in the list and doesn't need to come up 2 times there. So basically, that's what I wanted to show you today. Hope to see you in another session as well. Bye-bye.